The occupying forces' offensive has not collapsed, as Bild has already hastened to report. The temporary tactical pause is due to the fact that the enemy is licking its wounds and preparing new reserves for redeployment closer to the line of contact. The Ukrainians, for their part, are not yet able to launch an offensive operation due to the lack of Western aid. Toward the end of the month we should expect another activation on the part of the enemy on Avdiivka, Kupinsk, and Chasiv Yar. But even now the battles are not easy, not at all. They're complicated, and the enemy is making progress somewhere. February to March will be very difficult. And beyond that, everything depends on how quickly Congress votes on funding for this fiscal year for Ukraine. Heavy fighting continues in the Avdiivka area, near Stepovy, and in the village itself. The enemy was able to advance a little closer to the center of the village, but it is prevented from gaining a foothold by the fire influence of Ukrainian defenders. The occupants' assault groups can advance 500 meters during the day, but they retreat due to lack of ammunition or lack of support, because the previous groups were destroyed. And as a matter of fact, they have no advance, or they can get a hold of a few houses, which are then dismantled by Ukrainian artillery. In Pervomaisk, it is somewhat more difficult now. Here the enemy still retains significant potential and high combat capability, but has small successes. In other areas there are no changes. Avdiivka has already endured 3 months of hell. This is what the Russian offensive on Avdiivka looks like from October 10th to January 10th, month by month since the activation of the assaults. What was supposed to be a lightning-fast Russian operation to encircle the Ukrainian garrison in the city, turned into a protracted bloody squeeze, with colossal losses in manpower and equipment. For more than 90 days of continuous offensive, the enemy lost more than 13,000 personnel and more than 440 units of equipment, against 33 Ukrainian. Moreover, the more difficult this offensive is being given to the occupiers. The enemy literally filled the city with mines and shells. The number of assaults could reach up to 50 per day. On the direction were involved GRU units, former Wagner mercenaries and elite paratroopers. But the lightning encirclement never succeeded. Frontal attacks yielded almost nothing and the Russian troops lost so much equipment that they had to pull the remnants to the rear. Ukrainian Titans continue to defend Avdiivka. Working in extremely difficult conditions without sleep and sometimes without food, the Ukrainian military shows incredible results. Meanwhile, Russian resources have published a photo of a Fab 1500 semi-Tharaton bomb, with a planning module that is structurally different from the modules used on the Fab 250 and 500. They will use this munition to destroy Ukrainian fortifications, and if the goal is to drive the Ukrainians out of some village, super precision is not so important here. They simply drop similar bombs time after time, destroying building after building, fortification after fortification, until there is nothing left and the defenders have no choice but to retreat. And until there are sufficient countermeasures, this problem will remain.